Hey, what up? It's Arona, aka Cinematic Cisse, and today I'm talking about being moviecated. Moviecation means learning things from movies. I can say one thing about myself: I am moviecated. I don't care what anybody says. Movies do teach people a lot. It doesn't necessarily have to be based off of a true story or anything like that. You could learn anything from any movie. It could be some stupid movie to a true life event or even a biopic. Even biopics at times aren't fully accurate. They're not going to tell you the whole story, not because they lied about something, just because over the time some things were lost, stories were changed, opinions were changed, people died off, stuff like that. But a lot of times people don't think about the educational or even spiritual philosophical aspect of a movie. They just think, oh, it's just some movie. But those of you who actually love movies and study them, not just watch them, but study them, you see what the movie's teaching you. And one thing, movies today, they don't have a story behind it and they don't teach you as much as they used to. Some things, yes. And I'm not talking about being a conspiracy theorist. I mean, actually, like, have a message, like them old school black and white movies and stuff like that, or movies like that. I believe, in my opinion, movies with messages that just said a straight up message died out in the 2000s. The 2010s, they had some. That here in the 20s, they do have some, but they just died out because a lot of people are just making movies just for the sake of it. But other times, they just don't see the message behind the movie or learning something from those movies. And it doesn't have to be learning, not necessarily a how-to guide, like how to fix this, how to do that, or how to rob a bank or something. But sometimes you just sit back and watch a person's behavior. I've learned so many things about people from movies. I've learned how a person is, the people I've dealt with, how their personality is via a movie. And people think, oh, it's some sin, oh, it's some movie. Just like I tell some Christian people who think it's a sin to watch a movie that doesn't necessarily glorify God, I said you have to find something in that movie to go off of. Because that's how you reach other people. That's how I'm reaching y'all. I'm talking about these different movies. I'm not just going to sit up here and say, this movie sin, that movie sin. I watch all kind of stuff. I mean, I know there's some things, inappropriate stuff, but I'm saying in other ways, you can learn anything from any movie. I am deeply movie-cated. You can see that in a lot of my sermons and even some of my quotes. Like my favorite movie, Deep Cover. If you haven't, check it out. You can get it on DVD or get it on YouTube. Sometimes on Tubi, they do have it. But one thing I did learn from there was, especially the movie quotes, only reason I let you live is if I could get something from you. And that's many people's mindsets today. People don't have no use for you, but they just want something from you. That's why they speak to you. And I learned that not just real life, but also from a movie. Movies can teach you a lot of stuff if you sit there and study them. Study a person's behavior. Study the scene, the scenario. But the thing is, like I said, people don't see that. They just sit there and want to be entertained. There's nothing wrong with being entertained, but if you love movies, you see it as more than entertainment. Movies are life. Movies are something you could just get high off of. It just relaxes you. So, like when it says educational purposes, any movie can be for educational purposes, like Training Day. That movie reflects LA from back in the day, especially gang life in LA. That's pretty realistic. In my opinion, that's better than a documentary. Don't get me wrong, I love documentaries a lot. But the movie, it just shows things from a cinematic perspective versus just following somebody around, interviewing them about this, and that. Movies just make it more, they have more excitement to it. Don't get me wrong. Some things are exaggerated from the movies, but it just, more people see it. And some movies like that just reflect reality, like End of Watch. Shout out to David Ayer, by the way. One of my favorite directors, directed the End of Watch and wrote Training Day. That movie ta- speaks a lot about the police life, not just L.A., but just how it is for police officer, even gang members. That's reality. Even real life gang members and police officers were referencing that movie, and it teaches people a lot versus just listening to some person's opinion, some news story, I should say. News stories do show it, but movies just can show the raw nitty grittiness of real life. And yes, I know it's Hollywood, but movies can show that. That's why some movies are considered too scary nowadays. Like, you don't really see a lot of those movies because they're too real. People want to see bullcrap. I'm not putting these movies down, but a lot of what you see today in cinema is just straight up bullcrap. What are you going to learn from some of these movies? They're just teaching people just to be soft and stuff. Back in the day, that was the raw nitty gritty. And that's what I like. I like raw, uncut stuff like that because that's real. I learned a lot. And I like to teach people a lot via movies. But you have to go look at those movies. You have to, not just training day, I'm talking about anything. You have to find the message in those movies. Even Lost Boys. I mean, even though it might be a silly vampire movie, you could just learn how temptation works. Michael liked a girl. He fell into temptation, trying to be with her. He turned into a vampire. You can learn something from that, running with the wrong crowd. See, some people don't see that. They just say, oh, it's just some evil vampire movie. But what was the message in there? Don't run with the wrong crowd. Don't chase after the wrong people. Simple as that. So stay movie-cated, y'all. I'm movie-cated for life, y'all. We banging.